Rich. I am so excited to talk to you. I've spoken to you before, and we talked about Warrior and all these other projects you've been doing, and then also about San Francisco. You're the
Right,
the Grand Marshal, so
right,
that
right.
was amazing.
Thank you.
But I am excited to talk to you about this project. Can you tell me more about Sergeant Tyson Koyama? Because I know we see the business side of things professionally, but what can you tell me about him that you kind of created? The story about the backstory about him personally mixed with his professional. Tell me more about him.
Right. Well, first, shout out to Elliot Wolf and Tim Walsh for allowing me the freedom, I would say, to make this character really me, and one thing Tim stressed about in the beginning of our conversations prior to filming was, he really wanted me to feel comfortable in this character representing, an Asian American male police officer, law enforcement man. And with that, I'm able to represent him with my mother's maiden name right off the bat. So that was obviously very personal to me. At the same time, the backstory, every time I had a question to Tim about, where is he coming from, where is he going, what's this, he literally allowed me to bring in my own personal history. And so out of all the characters I've played, I always sprinkle a little bit of Rich in every character, right? This one is more than 50%, I can honestly say, because having been born and raised in the South Bay, Long Beach has always been in my backyard. So right there's a personal connection just geographically, right? With the community, with that demographic. And Tim having the cultural sensitivity to allow me to bring my own ethnicity, to bring my own personal history to Sergeant Koyama, I mean, has been the biggest win of my career in this industry, just because we know there's all these invisible ceilings we're always fighting against, right? Not only, I mean, it's kind of ironic, but not only is this Dick Wolf's first streamer, which means there's no network ceiling, this is also the first time a showrunner or creator has allowed me, the character, to have no ceiling at all as well. And so as far as backstory, he was an athlete growing up in the South Bay. He is of two different ethnicities, he is of Japanese Chinese descent, like I am. He did go to college. He did pursue football, and then he went into law. I don't know how much, right? I went to
That's
law
you.
school. I was a lawyer, but Sergeant Koyama went into law enforcement, right? And so, the biggest challenge of this show for me was just dialing in and really representing the finite details of what real police officers do and what energies they channel and the relationship with their coworkers. And that's what I really focused on, because I brought so much of me already. It was just kind of adding these fine-tuning elements that make this character believable to that community of law enforcement officers.
Well, he has a close relationship with Officer Harmon. He's her mentor. And has that relationship affected the character, him, since she's not everyone's cup of tea in the department? Like we know she has issues with them. And with cop culture, how does that affect, has the relationship affected him in any way?
Right. So, one thing Tim Walsh has always referred to me as is the Obi-Wan to Tracy Harmon, right? So, we start the show, we start this series, and the audience will see of Tracy Harmon training Officer Diaz. So we have training officer and trainee relationship. Well, prior to everyone being kind of transported into this present world, I was the training officer for Tracy Harmon. So, Troyan's character of being a 12-year vet in the law enforcement, I have that history with her as her senior, as her mentor, as her advocate, right? So I think definitely I know her. Definitely, I have a special relationship with her, a very personal relationship in the sense that I want to take care of her and look out for her best interests. And so I think, that element of, that humanitarian element really comes to fruition like throughout the season, and the viewers will start to see that relationship or the history of that, because the focus is obviously on Troyan and Brandon's characters and their relationship as
Yeah.
both, training officer and trainee. But then it's beautiful how Tim and Elliot sprinkled, this Sergeant Koyama spice throughout the entire season, and to really show my maturity and the level that I play in the Long Beach Police Department. So it was fantastic to be basically cast as a mentor to our lead, character
Yeah.
wise.
Well, as a fourth gen Asian American from LA, how excited were you to be able to stay in LA and to film in the Long Beach area? And do
Right.
you prefer the film close to home? And how does being on the show representing Long Beach area kind of feel for you as an LA person? Because yeah, I'm an LA person, you're LA, so it's kind of cool to kind of stay and kind of represent that area.
Right. So first I've been manifesting this whole situation for a long time, to be dead honest. And I manifested Dick Wolf. I manifested, police officer, and more importantly, the West Coast. I just feel there's never been a show like this. I mean, it's Dick Wolf's first streamer. Let's start with that, right? So there's no network ceiling. We say the things we need to say. We do the things we need to do. And that kind of limitless environment has been gold, I think, to this show and making it different. That being said, most of my career has been on location. And so it's the fact that I kind of feel normalized in the sense where I get to go home and go to work like normal people, right? Not as an artist in this crazy industry is huge for me. I love driving to Long Beach every day to film. It is not only beautiful, but it's convenient, And so, having grown up in the South Bay, and being of, Japanese American descent, there's a huge connection, I think, with historical communities of the Japanese immigrants coming to the U.S. and settling in the South Bay. So to film in Long Beach, to represent my name, my family's name, has been very personal to me, and I think it's fantastic because L.A. has been put on the map, for generations in Hollywood, right? And I think besides Snoop and a couple other artists, Long Beach, the LBC has really not been in the limelight. And so knowing of Long Beach is because of my childhood and growing up here, I've, there's so many cultures, there's so many demographics, it's a huge community with all different elements, right? And so the
Yes.
fact that we get to, literally, put Long Beach, California on the map and to show its diversity culturally, ethnically, socioeconomic, everything, I think is a huge win for this show and what makes us different. And I couldn't be more proud to be on a show that's showcasing Long Beach for the first time.
Well, the show is different because, we get to see a little handheld body cam, dash cam footage that allows a different perspective.
Right.
And and I wanted to know, do you feel like the show would give the police, especially Long Beach, like a better reputation, or does it speak to the realities of the police force?
Well, number one, you're right. All these different elements of Cameron, shout out to our crew because these are split second edits that we get to see in the final, which take hours to set up, right? And so whether it's literally the body cam or the dash cam or our handheld stuff, it really transports the audience because I've seen it now like at home and it transports the audience, the viewer into the front seat of like a ride along experience, what it's like to roll up to a scene of a crime, to be in a pursuit. The stakes are so high, and you get this amazing. It's like the only way I can describe it is like positive anxiety when you watch it, right? Because you're in the moment with us. I think another thing it does is that, outside of the camera angles, the storyline, it really humanitizes the whole environment. And what I mean by that is this show is such a pro character show, right? It shows, I think, how police officers are regular human beings. They go to work. The only difference, which is the biggest difference, is that they put their lives at stake every day at their job. A lot of people, we go to offices, we go to studios, we go to, nice environments, so to speak. These individuals that serve and protect our communities, they really risk their lives every day. I know that's kind of a cliche, statement, but it is true having been on these ride-alongs with these real police officers, these real gang unit police officers, and to see their calmness and their professionalism firsthand, knowing that they have a soccer game to go to later in the day, or they got to go home and they're going on a family trip this weekend. It blew my mind really because we all, us civilians, we all think we know maybe what it's like, but we really don't, to be honest. And I think this show does a great job of not only showing the professional issues that police officers deal, but more importantly, the personal issues and family, relationships, and all that stuff that, they literally, when they clock out at the end of the day and they get out of their gear, and and they literally let their hair down and they drive home. They're just another human being with real human being problems, and I think that's the real message of our show, and I think we nailed that aspect of it.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, and I can't wait for everyone to see your character, and I can't wait to see more. There's a season two, so I want to see more personal stuff from your characters. So I can't wait to learn more, and can't wait to talk to you more later next
All
time.
right. Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you. We'll talk soon. Thank
All
you.
right.
Fanboys, professional artists, and professors. Maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC. In full color, you see me. The hard knock life. Comics, movies, and TV. Yeah. Pop culture with a different perspective. Watch it on your screen, hit play, so check this.